Welcome to Seoul! Gyeongbokgung Palace is what I believe the correct pronunciation is of this location. Forgive me if I'm butchering the Korean language, but this is one of the grand palaces here in Seoul, and it's a very, very beautiful location. It's a very big location that has many points of interest for you to go and see. Now, one of the difficulties of actually walking around here is that we didn't actually find too much information written around about the palace, like what certain buildings are or what certain locations are meant to represent. It's all kind of like just a little bit up in the air, unless you have like a guide who can explain everything to you. But other than that, the palace is very gorgeous. So we've definitely had a great time walking around the palace. You can be here for several hours. You could be here for 5 to 6 hours if you really wanted to see every part of the palace. And maybe if you've got a guide with you who's explaining to you all the history that I'm sure is here with the palace. Or you can do this a lot quicker, walk around, appreciate the architecture, appreciate the nature that's around. There's definitely like the part with a beautiful bridge, as well as like a beautiful building in the middle of a pond. All looks fantastic, and this is a great place to look around. It's just trying to find information on it. Maybe you need a guide or look for information online to further explain what it is this palace is about. But it's definitely worth looking around, and there are several palaces, well not several, at least there are a couple of palaces here in Seoul to check out. This is the only palace we're coming to, I believe. Now, when you are coming to a palace, these palaces, pretty much all of them, I believe, here in Seoul, if you hire a hanbok, you get in for free. So we done with the tradition. We dressed up in traditional Korean clothing and dressed up in a hanbok. Now, I got a prince outfit, apparently. Blue is prince, red is king. And the black one, which actually looks cooler than both of them. I'm not sure what that one is. I kind of wish I went with black because it looks cooler. But I got the one for Prince. And the Prince hat, which has the silver, this is what I was told. If I'm wrong, you can correct me in the comments. The hat is a little bit small for my head, so it does kind of like leave a ring, a ring on it. But one of the funnest part of actually being here is actually also being dressed up. I was a little bit unsure about whether or not we should dress up at first, but I absolutely love walking around these ancient palaces whilst in sort of ancient dress style or traditional dress style. It's definitely one of the better aspects to do it, and I would highly recommend doing it. You get free entrance. Obviously, to rent the outfits is going to cost you a bit of money, but to go along with the theme and really embrace yourself with these historic sites, it is a lot of fun to dress up and look your best. For girls, you can get hair options done for you, as well as makeup options as well. And there are locations all over. But what I will say is we are here in October, and it is an incredibly busy time. I asked the lady inside the rental place why, if it's just busy always. And she was like, oh, October and November are like the busiest times because of the weather. And the weather is... we've got a clear blue sky, but it's not hot at all. There's a breeze around obviously the middle of the day. 2 o'clock, it is a little bit warm, but the mornings and the evenings are quite cool. So you might want to, if you want the makeup options when you're getting the hanbok, then you might want to book in advance, as they do get extremely busy and they may not have options to do it. But you can just walk in, no matter how busy they are, you can just walk in and rent one straight away. They'll help you put it on, and they'll help you select some as well. We're currently in the Bukchon village, and we're in the observatory that you can look over the village. This village is very famous for the architecture of the buildings that the residents live in. It is currently still residential, so people do live here. So there are like people hanging around and signs asking everyone to be quiet. But the draw is that this is like traditional Korean homes. And all the homes do kind of look more modern, I guess, on the outside. Like they have been refurbished, which is to be expected, but they're still sort of done in the traditional style. And the architecture does look really cool. It's really fascinating to come here and just sort of like walk around the village. It's a very, very big village. So it's going to take you a while to walk around. You don't need to walk around the whole of it to get the feel of traditional Korean architecture or traditional Korean homes. But you can also walk around it because this is a very popular tourist destination. There's coffee shops around and other things to do in the village that you can also check out whilst you're checking out the architecture. And we're also kind of high up. We're in kind of like a hill. So you kind of get some good views of Seoul as well. And you also get some views of the mountain behind us, or a very big hill behind us. So this place is definitely worth coming to visit, but it is very popular. So when you're trying to get photos or videos on sort of like the main street where everyone sort of hangs out, there is going to be a lot of people there. So the earlier you come, the better. But I even think even if you come early, it's going to be very busy. And of course, this is residential, so there are people coming and going generally because they live here. And then you can come to the observatory to get some higher views. It's 6,000 won to enter, and you get a free drink as well when you enter. And you can just walk around. There's a small museum here and check it out and just enjoy your time in Bukchon Village. So we came to the Ihwa Mural Village. Again, this is like a real residential area where people are living. So there are signs to say, you know, please whisper, please keep the noise down. It is the middle of the day, so I don't know how, like, we've heard some loud noises like trucks coming by with speakers saying they're collecting trash or something. So, but still trying to be generally quiet because this is a residential area. Now there are a lot of beautiful paintings around here, painted on the walls. So you kind of walk around the village, you can see lots of the paintings. Like there's lots of different styles of paintings, some that you can interact with more than others. Some just are like very cool, and some kind of like have a place for you to stand in the painting and be a part of the artwork. So yeah, you get some loud motorbikes, so I guess you don't always need to whisper, but generally just being a little bit quiet is obviously respectful. And then also up here, you've got to kind of climb. It's a little bit of hiking to get up high to get here. And there's also like an historic wall to explore during this area as well once you get here. So when you come up, there is like slightly more than just looking at a few of the paintings that are around. However, I would say that this area isn't necessarily the most interesting. Like there's a lot of cars parked in in front of a lot of the paintings. And this one we don't really like Son. As Arsenal fans, you know, he's only so-so. But there's a lot of cars parked in front of them, and a lot of them have kind of like, that we saw on Instagram, wasn't even able to find, or they've disappeared. So it's kind of a mix between how good it is and how good it was. So I'd say that if you want to come here, if you're spending a lot of time in Seoul, then obviously it's one of the more famous places to come and visit and definitely worth coming. However, I wouldn't put this high on my priority list of places I have to come and visit. I would just put it as an extra thing to come and visit if you've got some spare time. But there are probably better places to go and visit other than coming here. The view at the top is worth it. Like, it's a very beautiful view of the city. However, I'm sure you can get an even better view from like Seoul Tower, for example. Anyway, we're going to keep exploring Seoul. So we've just been into this very old temple here in Seoul. My translation could be incorrect, but I believe it said this was established 1,230 years ago. However, you know, maybe my translation of what is actually happening is a little bit wrong. However, the temple is a very old temple, I believe. And one of the best things about it is that it's free to enter, or at least when we walked in, there was nowhere to look for tickets or anything like that. So I believe it's free to enter to look around this incredibly historic part of Seoul here in Gangnam. The architecture of the temples inside are obviously gorgeous, similar to temples around Asia. We were lucky enough to see a monk hitting some drums and ringing a bell. There's obviously parts here where you can give donations and stuff like that, But this is definitely a place worth coming to have some spiritual guidance or enlightenment, or if you just want to check around and understand the Buddhist culture more, then I guess this is a great place to come and check out here in Seoul. No introduction needed whatsoever for where we are now. Now this place is going to be busy throughout the day. People just randomly passing through are going to want to stop here just for a few seconds to take a photo, and some people will be here for a lot longer taking a photo. It's going to be a little bit of a crowded place to try and get any photos or video of this, as people are constantly going in and out trying to get their pictures. But it's definitely worth a visit to try, even if it's just to check out. It's what a lot of people put Gangnam on the map for, pretty much all of us outside of Korea. So come and visit the hands. So I guess I could have said this before, but welcome to Gangnam. Like here we've managed to go see the temple, we've seen the Gangnam Style, the statue of Gangnam for the song Gangnam Style, and we've got Starfield Library, which is an incredible library inside the mall, completely open. You can walk around, it's great for photographs. Maybe during the daytime though, when the sun is shining through the building, you'll definitely get more light for your photos. When you're sort of taking them right about now and doing video, it might look a little bit blurry, just because of the low light quality that you'll get when it's nighttime and just relying on the mall lights. But this is a fantastic place to come. One, if you just really like libraries, it's probably one of the louder libraries, so I don't think you're necessarily going to like it for that, but just for the visual aspect of it. But there are a lot of people here sitting down reading books and stuff, so it does have a nice atmosphere, but not the traditional library atmosphere. But this is a great place to come if you're hanging around in Gangnam. Great place to come and visit, take photos, especially during the day, and just chill, relax, read a book. So there are many shopping places you can come to in Seoul, of course. It's a major city, it's a big city, there's lots of places you can go. We came to Insadong Cultural Street, and this is kind of like an Insadong, I think it's an area, quite a location where you can do quite a few things around here. And the Cultural Street has lots of different types of shops you can explore. It's a great way to come and spend the evening, as there's quite a few restaurants here. There's market stalls set up with jewelry stores or toy stores, and what look like quite a few independent clothes style stores as well that you can go into and check out Korean style as well as stuff like that. We also saw some traditional candy around here, which I think we are on our way to try now. I did happen to pick up some traditional Korean tea as well. So this place is a little expensive, obviously, but I think Korea is generally more of an expensive place than, say, somewhere like China. But it's a very cool place to come and visit, spend the evening walking around, exploring, doing some shopping. Wherever you decide to shop in Korea, I'm sure you're gonna really enjoy Korean style. So Insadong is definitely a cool place to come. So Korea is also very famous for having different types of tea, and has a great tea culture here as well. So whilst we got a free drink whilst we was in the observatory, walking around the village, I managed to try red ginsena tea. I'm sure one of those pronunciations was correct. A red tea that's actually surprisingly sweet. Not usually how I take my tea, but it was interesting to try as I'm on this massive tea journey apparently. When I started traveling around, I wasn't expecting to try so many different styles of tea, but tea is just famous everywhere. So yeah, the red ginsena tea is a little bit sweet, but still quite nice to drink. And Felicity tried 100 native grass tea, which kind of smells like medicine and is one of the sweetest teas I think I've ever had. Incredibly sweet, probably undrinkable for me, plus the smell and the sweetness rolled into one that it kind of feels like maybe it is medicine tea. But great tea here to try in the observatory. Anyway, let's keep looking around Korea. So going out in Korea or going out in Seoul, as far as I was aware from watching K-dramas or K-movies, that drinking culture in Korea is actually pretty good. So there are several locations you can go. I can't name them all because we've only been here for a few days. We're currently around Hanbok or something University. I'll have the writing just below so you know where it is. But this isn't the only place. There are a couple more places you can go. Just generally walking around Seoul, you're going to find bars kind of all over the place. Like there's one outside our hotel. And as we've strolled around Seoul, we've seen plenty of bars and clubs for people to enter. So there definitely is a good drinking culture that I think a lot of tourists are going to really enjoy here. I think having a night out in Seoul is definitely going to be a highlight. As for Korean alcohol, or South Korean alcohol, this is where I may be a little overly critical. Maybe I'm too used to like European beers. But I believe the most popular drink is a drink called soju, which to me tasted a little bit like a weaker version of vodka, but still tasted like vodka to me. So I personally didn't really like it, but it does come in different flavors, so there is a variety of choice for you to choose from. It may not have been for me, but that doesn't mean it's not a fantastic drink. And the beer I had, there are a couple of beers you can try here in Korea, but again, maybe I've been spoiled by European beers. It wasn't the best beer. It's definitely drinkable, and if I'm going out here in Seoul, I'm definitely going to be choosing the beer option. Being from England, more of a beer drinker. But I wouldn't put this on the highest. However, I will say nights out in Seoul are going to be epic. Okay, now let's talk food, because if you're planning your trip to Korea, then you're going to need to be planning your taste buds, because food here in Korea is on another level. So let's dive into some of the dishes you are going to absolutely love while eating your way across Seoul. First up, bibimbap. This one's my personal favorite. A mix of rice, veggies, egg, and some spicy sauce to go along with it. All served in a hot stone bowl. And the best part is that crispy golden rice that you get at the bottom. It's just like, mwah, absolutely brilliant. A Korean favorite for me, and definitely something you're gonna want to track down, even though it's easy to track down, but you want to track this one down. Korean fried rice. The real KFC, we should be saying. It's crispy, it's juicy, and often coated in a sweet or spicy sauce. However, we only really had it in a slightly spicy sauce. And this one goes absolutely perfect if you're drinking some soju or beer as well. It's just like the perfect combination when you're out drinking in Korea. Korean barbecue. Now, this is probably the real crown jewel of Korean food for most foreigners, I would guess anyway. Can't guarantee that for actual Korean people. But beef is definitely elite. We had both beef and pork. Both are amazing. However, obviously beef is always going to be a little bit better. So if you can get yourself some beef, that is going to be absolutely perfect. But it is obviously slightly more expensive than the pork. So you kind of got to go with what you can. But Korean barbecue is going to be fantastic. And you're going to get lots of little dishes around. Little side dishes around as well, which is always nice to have. You're going to grill it yourself, you're going to wrap it in lettuce, you're going to dip it in a sauce, and you're going to feel like a native Korean. Bulgogi jingola, which I've pronounced absolutely perfectly. It's kind of like a beef hot pot, or like a beef soup, beef stew, whichever one you kind of prefer. But it's sort of like thin beef marinated in some sort of sauce, and then you put it into the boiling water or the boiling stew or soup, along with some veggies, maybe some noodles, and it all kind of just simmers together in a flavorful broth. It's definitely comfort food, but it is also amazingly tasty. Different from, say, like the comfort food from the soups in Europe. This one is actually one of the ones I wasn't aware of before coming to Korea, so I kind of discovered it there. And we had it twice, and it was fantastic. Okay, switching things up to dessert. Bingsu. Now this looks incredible. I think I've seen it around in other countries, so it is kind of going around the world. But it's like a fluffy mountain of shaved ice cream, topped with everything from condensed milk to fresh fruit or red beans. Now ours was chocolate, and it was incredible. And we had a chorizo along with it, which obviously is not Korean, but also is like a perfect combination to put these two desserts together. Try this, no matter where you are. Just try this anywhere in the world. This is top tier dessert. And we had some Korean dragon's beard candy. This is what I was talking about when we were in the shopping street. We found this stall whilst walking around, and it just says traditional Korean candy. It's like a chunk of honey that gets poured into 16,000 silky threads. Yes, apparently it's 16,000 and filled with nuts or chocolate or other combinations that the sellers were putting it in. It's kind of like cotton candy, kind of got a degree in Kung Fu tradition. You'll probably want to have this quite often because it's very tasty, and it also makes fantastic gifts. Now, something we kind of got quite regularly for breakfast. However, I'm not sure it necessarily is just breakfast food, but it's kimbap. It's like Koreans' sushi. Now, I believe the difference between kimbap and sushi is that sushi is mostly using raw fish, whereas kimbap uses cooked fish. But either way, it's seaweed rolled packed with rice, veggies, sometimes meat or tuna, but usually always cooked. It's definitely portable, and these are more affordable as we got these in some pretty cheaper restaurants, and they are fantastic. Now, Korean food markets, I think, are quite popular and quite famous, and you're definitely going to want to track one down. Now, we went to this one, Gwangjang Market. Amazing, fantastic. We had a fantastic time walking around, smelling the delicious aroma that was coming from all the chefs cooking there. And we had some amazing stuff. I can't remember all the names of it, even though I did try and take like pictures of names to see what we had. But the top three I'll go with what we had was kimchi pancakes. Now, kimchi is another one that you're just going to get everywhere. It felt like every time we sat down for a meal, they put down a side of kimchi. And also, maybe kimchi is actually one of the most famous Korean snacks. But kimchi pancakes, it's crispy. It's got like a spice tang from the kimchi, and you'll definitely want to get more than one. It's absolutely delicious in the street markets. Tteokbokki, a chewy rice cake in a fierce red sauce. It can be a little bit sweet, a little bit spicy, and very addictive. You just keep like, man, it's like, you know, like Pringles. Once you pop, you can't stop. And yeah, you just keep eating these down. They're very nice, and you'll definitely want to get these a few times when you're exploring Seoul. We also had some fish cakes. These were like on skewers, like kebab sticks, and they were just kind of simmering in broth. They're very nice, and if you're a fan of seafood, then you'll definitely like this sort of broth and the fish cakes in them. They're very delicious, very nice. But there was so much food in this place. You'll definitely want to check it around. You'll definitely want to walk around checking out all the different things you can get. So we have stayed here in the New Seoul Hotel. To be honest, the stay here was fine. It was pretty good. It's a 3-star hotel, apparently. It's not a luxurious hotel, but all we usually do is for when we're looking for hotels is we just need a bed that's hopefully comfortable to sleep in and a shower that works. And that's what we got. I mean, it has utilities. It's got a TV. It has a fridge. The bed was comfortable enough and the shower did work. It gave us hot water. So, you know, all in all, the hotel was absolutely fine. But I think the most important thing, like, this is Seoul. So that means you get a range of hotels, from your absolutely luxury hotels to your cheap hotels to your hostels to different types of Airbnb. I think the most important thing when you are looking to stay here in Seoul is to be relatively close to a bunch of locations you want to go to. If you're going all over Seoul, then a central location is good. But if you want to see a specific part of Seoul, then obviously staying closer to where you want to be is going to be better. So it saves time on traveling. So as Seoul's a major city, I don't really think there's too much to say about hotels. You've got all different ranges. Okay, let's talk travel tours, because good food is even better when you can actually find your way to it. Here are some of the apps that made a trip to Seoul a little bit easier. The first one was Visit Korea, the official app from the tourism board. Great for finding attractions, events, and cultural tips. It's like having a little friendly local tour guide in your pocket. Naver Map. Now, you can mostly forget about Google Maps unless you're just really addicted to it. But Naver is the go-to for walk-in and subway directions in Korea. It's super accurate, and it tells you which subway exit you can take and the quickest way you can get to locations. And it definitely works a little bit better than Google Maps here in Korea. However, saying that, we did also use Google Maps, and we found Google Maps surprisingly good for bus routes, which I'm sure Naver can also do as well. But it also was tracking the buses live, so we could see exactly when our bus was going to arrive, and we could plan our trip pretty precisely to only waiting a few minutes for the bus every time we wanted to go somewhere new. the Korean subway app. This is just called Subway, but maybe you need to type in Seoul Subway or Korean Subway app just to make sure you find the correct one. But this app made the subway metro system feel super easy, and we managed to plan our routes around Seoul very easy with this app, especially from getting from the airport to your hotel. Now in Seoul, we found taking the bus and the metro to be the perfect choice of traveling around as well as walking, because we were quite close to the center. And the buses are super convenient and the metro is super convenient. The metro stations are a little small, or a little thin when you're waiting on the platform, I should say. Some of them, the metro stations are massive. But the Korean system seems to work very well, and especially when you can get live updates, and traveling on buses and metro is super easy, super fantastic, and not very expensive at all. I think you'll have no problem traveling on these, and this was our main mode of transport. However, you can use K-Ride. Now, we didn't feel like we needed to use this in Seoul, thanks to the amazing public transport. But we did use this in Jeju, and it came in fantastic, especially considering the public transport there is good, but not as good. So we have used this app, and it does work really well. By the way, none of these apps are sponsoring me, but you know, Naver, Google, if you want to slide into my DMs, you know, I do have bills to pay. A quick note on the language. Now, I know my Korean pronunciation during this video has been absolutely flawless, or at least that's what I'm telling myself. But still, you might not realize this, but I don't actually speak Korean. We had no problems getting around though. Everyone was super friendly, and even when some people didn't speak Korean, they still tried really hard to help us out when we were looking for a certain shop or certain direction. Absolutely no problems getting around, as most of the people there did have some level of English, and most of them was pretty good. However, in one restaurant, I think at one point we were just communicating with hand gestures and good vibes, and we got exactly what we wanted. So shout out to the amazing staff working in the restaurants. Just a few final thoughts. We absolutely loved Seoul. From the beautiful places to explore, to the food that somehow just keeps getting better with every meal. Whether you're wandering through places, grilling barbecue, or slurping noodles in side streets, it's an experience that is going to stick with you. Of course, there are still a few places we didn't get to visit that we really regret, but we wanted to go, but time we can't spend forever there. Like, we didn't go to the demilitarized zone or Seoul Tower. They were both on our itinerary, but unfortunately, we didn't have time to go there. But I think most people will want to visit these locations. But we gave you some maybe other options to consider as well. However, Seoul Tower, I would definitely want to go again. The demilitarized zone, we just felt it took too much of the day, and we wanted to do other things, so we didn't quite get to take the day trip there. Now, we stayed in Seoul for 3 days, and honestly, that felt like a great amount of time to get everything done that we wanted to see, except obviously those locations, whilst also knowing we have to go back and, you know, do our jobs. And I'm guessing a lot of other people, when you're planning your trip, you're also going to be like, well, we're going to a couple of destinations in Korea, or you're like, we can only go for a certain amount of days because we got to go home and work. And I think this was going to be exactly the same. 3 days in Seoul is probably a great time. But sadly, we have to leave Seoul, unfortunately. Now, we have already decided we will be returning though, as it's such an amazing city and such an amazing country. From what my translation app told me, what they say in Korea,
잘 게요.